Like, for example, facilities managers only manage to spend about 18% of their time improving cleaning performance and quality, yet they name quality as their number one priority.
Talking clean in a dirty world. Talking clean in a dirty world. Dirty, 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 dirty world. Talking clean in a dirty world.
Welcome to another episode of Talking Clean in a Dirty World. We just talk about anything and everything that comes up. And this last week, gentlemen, this came up about a well-functioning workplace and employee satisfaction. A report from our friends over at Torque. Did you guys have a chance to review it and tell me something about it, or is it like everything else, the first time you just saw it today?
Well, I did myself actually review it, read it pretty much in depth, and I actually highlighted a few points on the topics that I thought were kind of pretty important.
Oh, wonderful. Then that means I can be quiet and listen to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll make it brief, Dave. I know everybody wants to chime in. What I thought, I mean, this Raquel Carbonari lady is pretty interesting here with this report. But Torque, obviously, as we all know, Torque is a good company. They they have a lot of good stuff. But as far as it relates to building services contractors, like for us, I thought that one thing that was really, really interesting was about this with these surveys that they did that. Like, for example, facilities managers only manage to spend about 18% of their time improving cleaning performance and quality, yet they name quality as their number one priority.
You found that interesting, huh?
Well, I thought that was, that was definitely a factor to consider there. But
if it's that important, why is it only 18% of their time, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's, I would have thought those numbers would have been a bit higher, but also too, this hygiene factor was interesting. I thought that 85% of the employees think that how clean restrooms reflect the overall building, and 67% are more likely to complain about restrooms and the other aspects of their offices. So you got a difference of 67 versus 85 there. So it's kind of interesting. So I just thought, I'm just speaking from a BSC perspective. I thought that these numbers were kind of, interesting toward us and that sort of thing. But yeah, guys, chime in, please.
Well, that's essentially what they're saying is if you can keep your bathroom clean, you're probably going to keep everybody happy.
Right.
So if you can keep it well stocked, and I think that's where Torque is going with it, like the different ways that they have the ability to help stock a restroom for different types of solutions they have for people to be able to utilize soap or paper or toilet tissue. But on top of that, just that overall, if you're the facility manager, and it probably goes to what you do, Javier, also, because if the restroom is your focused and everybody's happy with that, you're probably winning the building at the end of the day, based on these numbers, it looks like to me. Especially if 67% would complain about a restroom. I mean, it's pretty much everybody will complain about a restroom. So you have to have a high bar for your restroom. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes along with the line of what we've talked about in many other podcasts about when people check out things, it's usually the bathroom first. It doesn't matter what kind of a building or residence or a restaurant or whatever the facility is. They judge the building by what they see because they get time to analyze that pretty quickly. And almost everybody uses a restroom, so it's a centralized focus of and they know what clean should look like in a restaurant. So they go there and they don't know what clean looks like in an office space. I mean, they know what clutter looks like versus clean, but they don't know what clean looks like in an office space, unlike a contractor would. So everybody can judge a bathroom because they have one. I think that's the perspective that everybody perceives when they walk in. If I go to a restaurant or a gas station or whatever, and I use the facility, I judge the whole facility by how clean that place is because I want to use it. If it's not clean, I get excited. So it's perception as much as a reality sometimes. But I think that when you look around, any places you've been, if the restroom was really nice and neat and clean, more than likely the rest of the building was immaculate as well.
Yeah, you would think every business owner, every restaurateur, every gas station owner would get that.
You would think.
You would think, wouldn't you?
I've even talked to them on guys I know personally that have been in the business, have their own restaurants. I said, you guys need to pay. Nah, I don't care about that. They don't understand the concept of that is perceptually that is their business, and they don't understand it. They think what they do. They're so self-absorbed into what they're doing. Whether they're making pizzas or subs or full-on restaurant, whatever. What they do is the most important thing, and all that other stuff is just necessary stuff that we have to have.
You know what logic I've used on with that. I mean, and this is just from a personal basis, but I always say, okay, if I'm going to go into a restaurant, right, and the first thing I do is I'm going to use the restroom before I get seated, and I find that the restroom is appalling. I say to myself, well, if the restroom is appalling and they're not doing anything about it, what's going on in that kitchen? And I'm about to eat there too. So
there you go.
You're going to keep your kitchen clean, but you're going to keep your restroom filthy.
You would think. Yeah.
How many places would you actually go and eat at then if you went by that all the time?
Not very many.
Not very many, but
there's a level of acceptability.
Well, you do. I mean, sometimes you don't go back, and sometimes you leave, and those things happen. There's probably a percentage on that. That if somebody's trying to build their business by a certain percent, if they knew how much that restroom is costing them at the end of the day, we do a little shorts called Clean Fails on our YouTube shorts for Gem, and I mean, we get these all the time where
we should do a man on the street. And interview people coming from restaurants and say, hey, instead of asking them, how was the food? Hey, did you use their facility? How was it?
How was the bathroom?
Podcast together on that.
Yeah. So
and shame these restaurants into getting it done right.
Yeah, they just paid $120 for their evening meal. How was the bathroom?
Yeah. How was your restroom? Did you use the facility? How did you find it? We're doing a survey. Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I'd have a ball with that.
Well, gentlemen,
we'll wait for you to go do that. And then in the meantime, what I was going to talk to you about, what I was going to say was that what Gem does with that Clean Fail is try to highlight that. And then as we were seeing those over the last couple of months, and so then we decided we were going to outbound call and just to start to let even our own customer base know it's time to upgrade. It's time to make the bathroom look nicer if it's not up to par. Even if you're already buying your stuff from us, we want to make sure it's beautiful so that you have the newest soap dispenser, you have the newest paper towel and toilet tissue system, and that your customers can be comfortable. And anyways, that's what drove that. And we kind of made a push on that in the last week and a half. So it's kind of interesting that when this article came out I think we're on the right track with that. To make sure.
Yeah, it reminds me, gentlemen, of a conversation I had with a superintendent of schools probably 20 years ago when I was selling janitorial supplies, and I kept trying to introduce him to, the dispensers, the JRTs, and the double roll and stuff, and he never had time for me until one day he called up and said, "Get your product, get down here to my office now. I don't have any time to wait." And when I got there, the first question I said is, "What changed all of a sudden?" He said, "I got a call from a lady said that if she didn't have toilet paper in there for her son to use in the restroom, she was going to the newspaper." It's unfortunate that something has to happen before we make these decisions. And Bobby, to your point, it's an out of sight, out of mind thing until somebody brings it up.
Squeaky wheel.
The clean fail thing. If you point it out, then we'll do something. And I think that's so many businesses. It's kind of like what we talk about almost everything in the cleaning industry.
I think it's becoming very critical too. We're kind of going full circle back around again because of the shortage of labor. I mean, when you're going to clean restrooms, it takes some labor hours out to go clean the restrooms. And a lot of these guys don't have the extra labor to be able to send somebody, hey, go in and spiff up that restroom for 15 minutes or whatever. So contracting may be getting a boost in that aspect if you use that as some of your talking points. They don't have time to go do that. They don't have the people to go do it, let alone the expertise. Full circle, brothers, full circle. Back to square one again.
Well, I guess
they'll be able to do without us.
Gentlemen, I guess that takes care of that subject. If you want to find out more, folks, we'll have the link to the article from Torque. Also, CleanLink actually said and had some previous words about it. It'll be in there too. If you like what we talked about, you want to follow us, please do that. Follow us at Jim Supply. You'll find this video plus the other ones from Talking Clean in a Dirty World. If you're on the audio podcast, hey, the link is still there. Gentlemen, thanks for being on the show for this episode, and we'll look forward to another one.